funeral of one of her exes, and she just broke down crying, and she trying to kiss him and jump in the casket. But again, that's a whole nother problem our relationship got. But to sit there and tell her she can't go because why you need to see him again? Why this? That is so insane to me. And I've even seen. I'm sure there are situations where it could be uncomfortable. I just don't know what they are. The person is dead. They're dead. And I mean, yeah, it's probably a couple of people who believe dead people have spirits. And what do they call? What do they call the ghosts that come and have sex with people at night? Do you know, Roy? One of y'all, I'm sure one of y'all know. But they got ghosts that come. There's a female ghost and there's a male ghost that come have sex with people at night. Unless you deep into that kind of stuff, come on, really? And and I was. They were actually supposed to be two separate topics, and I'm still trying to figure out how to work Facebook. But how many of y'all would have problems with your significant other or spouse going to a funeral of an ex? Now, let me put some comments in there for those of y'all who like to reach out too far. We're not talking about flying across the country. We're not talking about them packing up, and then we talking about if it's local. You know, somebody was like, "How they know they died?" They still keeping in touch. That's insane. That's insane. Do you have a problem? And I could see a small problem with exes keeping in touch, depending on the nature of relationship. And once somebody said, "Nah, they can't go because the ex was abusive." Well, maybe, maybe they want to make sure they dead because if they were in an abusive relationship, they may be suffering from some form of PTSD or depression because this person could still pop up. What's up, Cinnamon? So maybe that death gives them closure and finality. I mean, I don't. I'm just confused on. I'm confused on why the hate and the control we need over making sure our mate only loves us and nobody else, and that's it. I would bet. I would be willing to bet that most of us who ain't married somebody straight out of the ninth grade have memories of another person. And if you are over 35, 40, you probably got a song that when you hear it makes you think about somebody from the past. So are we now to the point where, let's just say, Trina hear a song that her and her ex used, I'm supposed to cut the radio off or look at her funny if she sings a song and have a memory? Because, okay, let me just sit up a little bit. You ain't never, never, ever, just in a moment of doing nothing, had thoughts of an ex that pop up. You don't miss them, but we all reminisce. We all reminisce. I mean, I got photo albums. I got photo albums going back to the third grade that I look through sometimes, and I reminisce. It don't mean I want nobody back. It just means I'm looking over my past, and I'm appreciating my present, and I'm looking forward to the future. I'm just so confused on how that works. Um, in my second marriage, because I understand insecurity, I understand how we all got different levels. I don't have a problem dating a woman, being married to a woman, living with a woman who has pictures of her past guys. I only have one basic rule, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong. Pictures of exes don't belong in the bedroom. But if you got a she shed or a man cave or whatever, put your stuff there. If it's of exes. Now, if they just photo albums, I mean, in my photo albums, you're going to see pictures of prom pictures. Guess who I went to the prom with? I went to the prom with a girlfriend. Should that be off limits? I mean, I still don't think it should be in the bedroom. I think the bedroom should be for you and your significant other and kids if you got them. I don't think you should have a whole bunch of people. But that's my opinion. You guys can tell me what you think. Um, but as far as going around, if Trina wanted to see my photo albums, hell, truth be told, I can't even tell you some of the girls' names in the pictures. But I can smile because I remember something about them. I just don't remember their name. Don't judge me. Um, but when do we get to this point of we want to be the only memory, the only happiness they ever got? Because when you get to that level, in my mind, you don't even want them loving their parents or kids. because you should be the only one who bring them happiness, and that's it. They can't have no past memories. And the crazy thing is, and I said this about great sex. Most of us, most of us have had great sex. Most of us have had great sex with an ex. Great sex does not make somebody stay. It's fun while you're in the minute, but great sex comes with a lot of red flags. Do you get mad about it? You just move forward. And like I say, I posted the question in about 30 or 40 different groups. And I'm watching. And initially it was the men saying the going to the left. Not a bunch of them, 5 or 10. Then I started seeing women going. Because it was a woman who said, oh yeah, he can go, but he better not start crying. Wow. You're a dude who you want to be honest and transparent and all this, because I'm hearing y'all women, y'all want us to be more emotionally available, but then we can't cry at a ex's funeral who we had a relationship with and spent some time with. So during this flood of memories and the good times we had, I can't just shed a tear because, yeah, I'm reliving some of those moments. And more importantly, and this probably is more so for the guys who date women with kids, they still have bonds with the kids, so they can't go to support the kids. It has nothing to do with the mother. And as Lee said, suppose they got kids together. Um, you know, if one of my kids' parents died, I'm gonna be there. Now, what I would be careful about doing, because I need to check with Trina. Would I want to ride in a family car? I probably wouldn't. Uh, would I want to be close to my kids? Probably, depending on her new relationship status. But is it a pressing point? No, because I'm not gonna do anything to make Trina uncomfortable as long as Trina ain't doing something about something I can't go, or you can't be by your kids. You can't. That's kind of insane to me. Again, this you guys, chime in when you feel like it. I see your comments. I was just on a roll. If and I'm gonna use Lee because she's right here. If Lee had children and their father passed, uh, the kid should be in the front row. I would say Lee should be in the front row. I can take my place in the background for that moment. This is not about me. This is about Lee and her kids, especially the kids. And I'm just not sure how we taking this. I mean, the guy did say people die all the time. Just get over it. To me, that's insane. People die all the time. Get over it. So if my mom or one of my kids died, I should just get over it. Is that really what we pushing? Again, that to me is insane. And not only should you be there to support your child, you should be there to pay your last respects. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And like I said, we're not talking about traveling across the country or something. We're just talking about, like I said, we're talking about doing something local. So I'm just, I'm just not understanding. And these are some of the ways that we interrupt our past, present, and future because we get so caught up on somebody else's past for whatever reason that we block our future. We block my future because I'm insecure for whatever nonsensical reason that I have. And that to me just makes no sense. And like I said, you guys, man, give me some feedback. Tell me what's going on. Because like I said, I know Roy there and he just being quiet. Um, but am I missing something? Is it what is it? We just don't care. We just don't believe that there should be any memories of times gone by. Go ahead, Roy. What you got for me, sir?
Well, that's just stupid. I mean, people, just the whole thing about not being able to go, especially just going to a funeral. I mean, like I said, I think the only thing that I could see that you were saying is if there was some form of abuse and maybe as a mate you don't want them to go because you don't want them to get triggered. But like that's the only to me that's the only explanation. If there's some sort of abuse, it does you didn't distinguish whether or not they have kids, because if you have kids it's a no-brainer. Especially if you have small kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then just depending on how long you were there, I mean that's just a matter of paying respect. But see, that goes, oh yeah, so because it goes to something I was talking to a friend of mine about. My girl India, she told me to tell you what's up.
What's
She
up,
know,
India?
yeah, she be trying to catch the second half of the show. She gets off late, so she be trying to get in. But we were talking today, and that says something about us as people. I think a lot of times one of the issues that we have is, or in today's society, because and this is my opinion, if you've ever actually loved somebody, like for real loved them, you don't lose that love. You may not
Right.
express it the same. You may not, you may not trust them anymore. But if you, I mean, unless, like I said, unless that person did just something mortally devastating to you, there is no, I don't see how you actually lose true love. So to not be able to, you spend, I mean, like I spent 15 years with my ex-wife.
Right.
You know, if she dies before me, I'm gonna shed a tear because, like you said, it's always gonna be memories. I mean, all of the times that whole 15 year wasn't bad. We had some
Right.
good times. You're gonna remember that stuff. So
Yeah, you had kids, so if nothing else, that's the tie that binds you. Y'all need to be on Random Thoughts with DVP, Hiram. Don't make me come get you. And that's what I'm saying. With all of that, no matter what happens, no matter how many bad times we had, there are very few relationships where people can't relationships, not situationships. There are very few relationships where people don't have fond memories. Excuse me, and that's what I don't get. Uh, you know, you know, and y'all know, me and Trina, we talk about almost everything. My first true love, Marcia. If I found out Marcia died, yes, I would go to her funeral. Trina is more than welcome to come with me. Should Trina be worried that I'm still in love with a dead girl now? Marcia moved on. She had kids. She got married. As far as I know, she's living a wonderful life. But somebody was like, well, how do you know? How do they know they died? Well, I mean, you find out how we find out a lot of stuff. We find out on Facebook. However we find out, it doesn't matter. When my aunt passed, I didn't know who a lot of her people were. So you know what I did? I went through her phone and I texted everybody that was in her phone. Everybody. And you know what I end up getting? I end up getting calls from people who I had not texted because they got the text message from somebody else. So they were calling her phone to see if it was a prank or whatever. So that's how a lot of stuff is word of mouth. So if Roy just brought up India, I don't know India well, but if something happened to India, we done hung out a couple of times. So if something happened, and I can't, and I guess she's really a bad example. We'll flip it. Me and India do have common friends. Let's just say Roy didn't know something happened to her because he was out of town on a trip or something, and I'd be like, Roy, did you hear about your girl India? He'd be like, what? I'm like, I just heard she passed. Because this has happened more than once on Facebook where I found out that a friend of mine passed, and I found out from Facebook. So sometimes you find out things before you get the phone call because, and I'm gonna use Roy and knock on wood, but how many personal family members do you know of India, Roy?
family members.
Yeah,
Well, personally, actually, I know her two kids and her ex-husband.
right. So I mean, and the point is, if something happened to her, who would call you?
Oh,
Anybody?
her son or her daughter would call me. Yeah.
Okay, so for most people, there is a whole missing nexus. So a lot of times we find out things. I found out one of my, I can't call him a friend, but one of my associates who I used to hang out with and play pool, he passed. I found out on Instagram, and somebody hit me and asked me if I had heard, and I heard what, and they was like, Aunt passed. I'm like, y'all know how many people named Aunt, first of all, and if you live a life like I do, there's a ton of ants. So most people do me who I was, and I'm like, who is? He said, well, you text Aunt's phone yesterday. Okay, well, this is, I told her my name and how I know him, and then she told me what happened. Now, had he been somebody I would truly call a friend, I probably would have went to his funeral. Well, under normal circumstances, during this virus, I can understand ain't going to no funerals. But the point is, we don't always find out through conventional means. So, does it really matter how your partner found out that their ex partner was dead? Somebody knows of the connection. It ain't disrespectful for them to call you. I think. I think this is just me again. I think it's disrespectful. We're gonna take Roy out of the situation because Roy was married. But if it was an ex girlfriend, I think it would be disrespectful of an ex girlfriend's family to call Roy at 2 in the morning if they knew he was in a relationship to tell him about it. They should wait till the next day. But that's just my opinion. I mean, we but everybody does know our relationship status. And it's crazy. People are like, oh, all you had to do was look on Facebook. I can honestly say, when I accept friend requests or whatever, I don't look and see what your relationship status is, because I ain't accepting your friend request to holler at you. So your friend status, actually, your relationship status actually doesn't matter to me. So why would I be checking to see what your relation status is before I accept your friend request? I mean, that's just me. And I know, Roy told me I'm kind of weird sometimes. I'm a Sith. Is that right, Roy?
Hey, look, that's the one you claim, dude.
I'm
That's what
saying,
you
but you're a
know.
Jedi.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
the two again?
yeah. The Sith and the Jedi. You decide to call me a white, as you call it, a white lighter.
You're a white lighter.
That was your
Um,
term. So
and yeah, like I say, I could see the problem if we're talking about spending money going across country. I ain't gonna say I'm against it. I could just see how that could be a slight issue. Uh, Starting to spend the money, going over there. I get it. I don't think that that's a point to argue or fight about. But again, we're talking about, this is one of those times, cool. This is one of those times when you have the conversation ahead of time. Um, I've asked Trina to write down a list of people that she would like for me to contact in case something happened to her. I don't know all her friends. She don't know all of mine. Uh, I mean, because some of us, I would say, have real friends that we haven't talked to in a minute. But when we hear their voice, we chip up whatever we're doing, we stop doing, yada yada yada. So yeah, I would like, I got a list of people who I think should be called. My mom knows a certain group of people to call. I got other people, they know a certain group, because everybody doesn't interconnect. I mean, my mom probably has no idea who Roy is, but that's because I don't let her on social media. But uh, Roy does know my brother. But Roy, chance I don't know how to get in touch with my brother. So if something happened, who would Roy call first? More than likely, Roy would have to get on Facebook
no,
because Roy
I got
doesn't.
y'all number.
But I'm just saying. But hey, you see how close me and him are. But for the
Right.
people who are close to me, how many of them could you call if we were together and something happened to me? If I went to Florida with you and we had a car wreck and I passed, how would you let anybody know? Who
Actually,
could
I
you?
would.
Who could?
My first call. Honestly, my first call would probably be Ray.
Right. And if it's at
So,
2 in the morning, would you feel comfortable calling Ray at 2 in the morning?
um, for that, yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
But and
yeah.
because and that's what I'm saying. So there are a lot of intangibles going on. Um, and Ray is a great example because her husband knows me, so it probably wouldn't be that big a
Right.
deal. Um,
And that would be
but
the
but
only
that,
reason, cause
right. But
I
he
know he knows who you are,
right. But if he didn't, then Roy might be like, damn, what I'm gonna do. And again, Roy would probably have to go to Facebook
and hitting that.
and hit or probably inbox Trina.
Right. Well,
But
yeah.
you ain't be able to call nobody because as much as we hang out, we've never really exchanged numbers. If something happened to Roy, I wouldn't have. I would have to go to Facebook and call India. I don't know a lot about Roy's people, but I would say that me and Roy are friends. But like most friends, our friendship is personal. It's not familiar. We ain't been. He ain't been in my house. We ain't had no cookouts. We ain't did none of that stuff. But we're still friends. On that note, we're gonna take a quick break. I know you said 6:30. I'm trying to be ahead of schedule, so we're gonna take a quick break, do some commercial break, pay some bills, and we will be right back. Random thoughts with DVP and my super host Roy. I'm sorry, my super producer. I don't want to get cussed out for calling the wrong name.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBNOnline, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Shop MyJBNOnline Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. MyJBN Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop MyJBNOnline Women's Boutique.
And we are back. And again, like I say, what we're talking about is the past, the present, and the future. And the first example was not even when I had planned to give. It just happened throughout the day because, like I said, I made a post about attending a funeral and seeing some of the raw emotions of people. And this is what we got to learn to do. And I talked about fake cyberbullying before. You know, one of the first comments somebody made is, "Why is this even a question?" Because everybody doesn't think the same. And one of the things that Roy pushes, that DVP pushes, is sometimes we have to have uncomfortable conversations because too many times we assume that we know what the other person's thinking, and we don't. We know what we think, and we try to push that across to somebody else without knowing. Because I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. Especially, like I say, especially with the death. I would want to be there. I would want to be there with Trina. And I saw a couple who gave time limits. And anybody who's ever been to a funeral, more than one, if it's somebody from your past, the original concept is normally we're gonna go view the body and come back. But anybody who's been to more than one funeral, especially for somebody who they ain't talked to in a long time, realize you run into a bunch of old faces. You stay and you socialize. You end up being a part of the repast because now you're around people, and this may take a minute. Isn't it insane that your significant other / spouse is sitting there sweating you about why you gone longer than an hour? It's crazy. I'm 55. I'm blessed. My mother's still living. When my mom's friend passed, I've always been the one to take her to funerals. One of the red flags that I got in my last marriage is my wife had an issue with me taking my mom to funerals. My mom's, let's say, first, she's my mom. So I don't understand how we even need an explanation for that. Second, I'm her only son. So we're going to combine those two. And are you really that stupid to think that if my mom needs something, and at these stages, people need to go to funerals just to pay their last respect. It's what they were taught. You sweat me about taking my mama to a funeral? She texted me at a funeral and asked me to bring back a program because she thought I was out doing something. And I was like, you realize I could cheat when I'm at work. Who cheats and blames their mother? You are some kind of special, and we want to down with Trend after that. But things happen. Ladies, how many times have y'all gone out and had a time, and this is just fun, and things, you having so much fun, time flies by. And you didn't mean to stay out extra late, but you end up staying out a little later. None of that 5, 6 in the morning stuff. But you thought you was gonna be back home by 11. You and your girls got to talking and having fun and reminiscing and doing all the crazy stuff that y'all do when y'all get together. And I'm supposed to be sweating you. Yeah, I'm gonna do a check. Hey, where you at, babe? You good? But me and Trina know. All you gotta do is say, "Hey, babe, I'm gonna be running a little late. You know, I ran into some friends. I'm gonna stay a little bit longer." Boom, we good with that. What's up, Mr. Conway? But that's what we do because curfews to me, you can call them what you want to, but curfews are a sign of respect. You can call them what you want to, but I believe, and we had the discussion that there's a appropriate time for us to be home if we're not working. And if you can't make that time, all it takes is a phone call to say, "Hey, babe, I'm gonna be late. This is what's going on." Life is just that simple. It's not a whole inquisition thing where, oh, why you out late? You cheating? What? If you're that insecure, then your relationship was doomed before that event, way before that event. What up, Mr. Moore, future gents of America? Hey, Miss Barbara, how are you? Um, come, y'all click the link and come to Random Thoughts. But when we're talking about these things, we got to take in consideration somebody's past is their past. Our past is our past. Most of us have some kind of fond memories from our past. You know, even though I grew up like I grew up, I still, before they started tearing everything down, I still went to my old neighborhoods. Not because I missed them, because I just wanted to go back and see what was going on. I did go back and reminisce about I remember busting that one out playing baseball. I remember, this was our football field. I remember this. This is the car. This is why I got hit by the car. These little things don't mean I want to relive them. It's just but it's part of what I do. I don't go every month. I ain't been in my old neighborhood now probably about 2 years. But if I want to go, I want to go. Um, but for some of the, like I said, some of the things I saw, they were just totally confusing to me. Now, as we talk more about our past, and I'm always stated this. What's up, Dennis? Our past help form who we are in a relationship. I personally believe that you should know a lot about your partner's past. Some people say, "Oh, what's in the past?" In the past, the past is what made them who they are today. So you need to know if they're hidden triggers or things that you shouldn't do. The only way you're gonna get to this is knowing about their past. You know, I talked about one of my coworkers one time. Great lady. We never dated. It's nothing sexual. But she would say stuff, and I'd be like, "You're so silly. You're so silly." And one day I called her silly, and she just started crying. I ain't never had nobody cry because I called them. So I'm like, "Why you crying?" And then she told me the story about her husband would call her silly B, and then he would beat her. So the term silly was a trigger for her. She didn't like being called silly. It made her emotional. So I stopped doing it. See, I could have been like some of y'all who ain't gonna never change. Oh, I'm gonna be me. They just gonna have to get used to it. But why would I intentionally hurt somebody? See, when I called her silly before, I didn't know it would hurt. That's part of her past. I don't need to keep bringing it up. Like I said, she wasn't even my girlfriend. We were just coworkers. But if you know that somebody has a trigger, why would you say they got to get used to you or they got to avoid you when it's simply just easy not to say that to somebody? I mean, to me, that's kind of insane. Me saying silly don't make or break who I am as a person. But I'm watching some of these people post and comment, and I'm seeing a lot of selfishness, and they put it on the auspices of, "Oh, I ain't insecure. I'm a real man. I'm a real woman. Yada yada yada." But everything they say after the comma said they're narcissistic or they're psychopaths. Because one, you can't tell me how to grieve. One, you can't tell me how to reminisce. You can't. Um, so for you to try to regulate that and try to put it on the auspices of for us to be happy, and I'm gonna use sin because she right here, cinema for us to be happy in a relationship, you can't be thinking about no other dude ever, never, or, and all this does is make us lie. That's all it's gonna do. Because let me get a drink right quick. I'm gonna drink ginger ale. I'm trying to stay, sober. If we all claim that we want to marry our best friend. And that's a lie everybody tell. I want to marry my best friend. Well, how many best friends do you have where you got to filter your language? And most of your best friends come from your past. All right? And who you are now as a result of some of this. And if you're trying to move forward to the future, at some point you have to grow. Because very few of us are who we were 10 years ago. Very few of us are who we were 15 years ago, 20 years ago. If you're that same person, then you probably need a little evaluation going on because you haven't grown. So now it makes sense why people can't let you do stuff. I hate the phrase, a leopard can't change his spots, a cheater always cheats. Well, let me just ask this random thought question. Is a third grader always a third grader? Is an 8-year-old always an 8-year-old? Who doesn't change? I'm sure Roy, like me, at once upon a time had a head full of hair. I'm sure at one point, like me, Roy probably didn't have a face full of hair. We all change. So I hate that phrase because I don't know nobody, I ain't even never heard of nobody who ain't never made a mistake. Does that mistake define you? That mistake only defines you if you keep repeating it. See, let me just go left right quick. I was a cop. Most murderers were never violent people. Most murderers did it as a crime of passion. Most of them. When you catch them outside of that, some of them seem like really decent people. They got caught up in a super emotional moment because they didn't know how to regulate their emotions. Watch the news in Clayton County not too long ago during an exchange of me getting my child. I'm gonna use Trina. Me and Trina going to do an exchange for the baby. The baby's daddy don't like the fact Trina brought me. I'm getting out trying to make it happen. Baby daddy shoot me. See, that's insane. That's a sign of a lot of things going wrong. Why you shooting? You mad because she moved on with another man? Or you mad because she brought the dude with her? Well, maybe they going somewhere after you. It's insane how we push our priorities to the top of the line. And I've even been a part of these exchanges where people get upset because other people come. Roy's kids are all grown now, but it would be insane. And I just use Roy because I know Roy ain't sensitive. But let's just say Roy's from Florida. Let's just say his kids lived in Florida. So let's say Roy going to get his kids in Florida for a month long to come up here to Georgia. So Roy can't bring his current to help him do the drive to go get the kids without the ex being wow, who is that woman? What difference does it make? You either trust Roy as a dad or not. The past, present, and the future. Some people in your past are jealous of your present and future. You got to kind of understand that and move away from them. Why do you care? When we talk about people with child custody and child visitation, or I'm not supposed to say child visitation, parenting time. I've seen way too many parents argue about a member of the opposite sex or the same sex as the parent who's coming to get the child, be upset about it. Why? Why? If one parent is happy, there's a 95% chance that your child is going to be happy. So if, and all my kids are grown, but if me and my woman want to go to get my child for visitation, for parenting time, why should the mother care who I'm with? Why should I care who she brings the child to me with? Oh, that's disrespectful. You ain't supposed to have another man in the car. What? Or she yelling at me because I brought another woman. Who is this woman going to be around my kid? What? I've been a cop for a while. I've never seen anything. Any of y'all who got custody and visitation schedules, tell me, have y'all ever seen anything in order that says you got to approve everybody the kid is around? You got to have them pre-approved before you do it? But this is that mindset where the past, present, and the future, they clash because too many of us have been involved in relationships where the person said they were over us, but they clearly weren't because they don't want you to move on. Dudes get mad. Oh, oh, all she want to do is go hang out with that dude. That's what she's supposed to do. You hanging out with women, but you don't want her to be happy. So clearly you're vested. You're vested, whether you want to accept it or not. You're vested in her lifestyle because you're going out of your way to make sure she's not happy. That means you still have an emotional attachment. That's what it means. Period. You can blame it on anything else you want to, but at the end of the day, it don't change what it is. What's up, Robert Hill? Um, it don't change it. So we got to understand how our past, present, future sometimes become so intertwined that they lead to our own demise because we're not thinking straight. We're thinking selfishly. We're thinking psychopathically. We're so vested in wanting the other person to hurt like they hurt us, or like we still trying to hurt them for whatever it is that we haven't gotten over, that we can't see. We don't want to see the light. We don't want to see the light. That's a personal problem. And I'm really not getting it. Why do we have this issue? Why is it so big, so much of a big deal that we're willing to do anything and everything to prevent that growth? When I got divorced, hey man, I hope my exes move on and have a great life because that means my kids are gonna be happy. I want to move on and have a great life. That way I don't have time to worry about what she doing. It's about the kids and about the happiness. So when I'm thinking about the past, yes, some of the relationships suck, some of them are great. But again, we had great times and bad times. I think that's pretty much a standard for every relationship. Um, I think it's cute when people say they're in relationships and they ain't never had a disagreement or a harsh word. I think it's cute. I ain't I ain't calling them a lie, but I don't believe they're in a real relationship if they ain't ever had it. Emotions do what emotions do. If we know that brothers and sisters fight, if we know that parents and children fight, how can you tell me that you're in a relationship and y'all ain't nothing been passionate to where y'all raised y'all voice or at least once said something that you shouldn't have said because you were so in the moment of emotion and passion? Because here's a thought. The only people who truly can evoke emotional responses are people we're tied into. Because, when certain people say stuff to you, you just laugh and keep moving because you have no tie to them. And we say what we want to say, but in reality, the people that can hurt us the most with their words are the people that we give power to. See, again, I'm gonna use my super producer, and this is ex. But at the time they were married, Roy's wife had the ability to hurt him with words because she could say things that because she was his wife, he would take a little bit more harsher than somebody else. So when people say words don't hurt, yeah, they do. That's why we have to be careful what we say to our kids because words do end up hurting. Because people who have power, when they use those words, they upset our present and our future. And that past never quite goes away. You hear people who saying they need closure. They want this. They want to know why their parent did this. Because they ain't let go of that past because they couldn't, because so much happened. And then you part of their present claim to want to be part of their future. You don't want to know about this to try to help them overcome it because, I'm looking at the post again. Everybody want a ready-made somebody. Ain't nobody got time to train nobody for nothing. Ain't nobody got time to help nobody through nothing. There are very few of y'all. So I'm going to automatically take myself out of the picture. There are very few of us who don't come with some kind of baggage. The question is, does that baggage hold us down? We all got some kind of issue that at some point, Roy made a post the other day, that sometimes he gets tired. And guess what happens when you get really, really tired, whether you want to or not? You have got to rest. So let's just say he has one of these tiring moments and he with his black queen. Roy needs to rest. Guess who comes second in? because she's got to understand that part of his future is building up this network. So there are times that he's going to be tired. That's his future. You're his president. You got to understand his future. But in your past, this is what you're used to. And we can't keep sitting back, making all these be one and try to make everybody apply the same theory or standard. Because what I do works for me. What Sandra does works for Sandra. What Dennis does works for Dennis. What's up, Fontella? Yeah, you late. What Fontella does works for Fontella. But at some point, we have to have this open and honest, sometimes slightly uncomfortable conversation to see where we are, to make sure that even if we don't understand why, we understand each other. We know. I've done shows on it now. We know, because I told you guys, I suffer from depression, severe depression. Trina has to understand that there are times when I'm not a nice person to be alone with. Forget what you see here. There are times I'm just not that nice. I'm not sociable. I'm not family oriented. I'm none of those things. That is who I am. That is who I am. Trina could take the mindset that she ain't gonna deal with it and leave. And I would be wrong to fault her for that. Because if she can't handle it, she needs to do what she needs to do to handle it. But if she chooses to stay, she can't sit back and tell me I need to get over it. This is who I am. This will always be. She ain't here for telling you how you don't speak to the host. But these are things that you have to know about my past to understand this. So I can tell you what some of the triggers are, what happens when I'm triggered, and we go from there. Because if I'm triggered and something is going on with her, we have a dilemma. Depending on the nature of my trigger, I may or may not be any good to her. See, that's a future problem that we need to talk about early so that we know what to do when it happens. And these are the things, and I'm looking at it, and that's why I came up with the show, the past, the present, and the future, because they're all intertwined. It's just which one do you let hold you hostage? Roy wants this network to be the best. Roy also, come back on screen right quick, Roy. Roy also wants a meaningful relationship. Which one is your priority, Roy?
Ooh.
See, and that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. Because depending on what's going on at the time and us being who we are, we prioritize in the moment a lot of times. Because there'll be times when, ladies, I'm going to tell you a little secret about all, and I hate this term, all grown ass men. There are times we need you more than we need life itself because y'all give us life. There are times when we want to be that baby. We want to lay our heads on your lap. We want you to rub our bald head or rub your fingers through the hair, whatever it is. There are times we need that more than anything else. And there are times when we got that cape on and we got everything. But we reprioritizing depending on what's going on. And Roy, we talking about Roy's future. And if pushed, would you rather have a great wife? Or would you rather have a great radio station? And you can only pick one. And I guarantee you on different days, we're going to look at one different. We're going to be like, well, maybe can I just have a good radio station? And then some days, and that's just life. Because that's a hell of a situation to be put in, yes? Yeah. Pick one. Because he can meet Mrs. Right. What he assumes to be Mrs. Right. But if she don't want to go with his dream, that's why I hate the thing. She do everything but. Well, look, if Rory knew she didn't want to be part of the future dream, she ain't gonna get to get to that status. That meant she had to keep that lot of herself. Cause I know Rory gonna tell you what he doing, and he ain't trying to be no rapper. He already got a radio station going. He trying to get it to another level. If she ain't there for that, then how can she get to that point of? And I don't even know Roy like this. I'm gonna speak for him though. How can she get to that point of having 99% of the things he wants? Because that one that she don't is a big one. So she can't make it to 99 status. She might be 63 now. But these are things, and at some point, Roy gonna sit there and he gonna do what most of us do: contemplate. Is my future in radio or is my future with this woman? And he got to sit there and weigh the pros and the cons. But he got to look at the past about how much time and energy he's put into this. The present, is he happier with her than he is with his progress? And that would help determine his future. But if all he ever does is sit back and say this is what they got to do and he's unflexible, then he's asking for a woman who has no flexibility, which is a whole nother issue. So these are the things that we have to consider, and we have to think about, and we have to give up some of our selfishness. And selfishness is good. Selfishness is good in small doses. There are times we should all put ourselves first and do what we want to. If you can do that a lot when you're single. When you're not single, you can do it a lot less, my opinion. Because for a relationship to work, for a partnership to work, for any of those things to work, you got to be willing to put everything else above you, just like your partner does. That way, y'all keep motivating each other, and nobody feels like they're being taken advantage of. Nobody feels like anything they want is always being put on the back burner. So there's a fine line, and that's why when you get to the point of wanting to be in a serious relationship, you need to discuss your future to see how you can make time for each other. This is the reason why a lot of power couples really don't make it, because they both too busy working 70 hours a week. They got no time for each other. They got no time. A lot of cheating goes on. It's simply because of that time issue. Everybody, everybody at some point, everybody at some point wants to lay their head on somebody else's shoulder. Everybody, men and women, they both want that. They both kind of need that at some point. So it's not asking too much. It's just doing what it is. But again, we have to realize, where did they come from? What drives them to this? What drives them to that? If if I date a woman and I don't know that she's been a victim of domestic violence, when I'm in the bedroom and I'm playing, I hit her with a pillow, that triggers a whole range of emotions, because I never knew, because I didn't want to know anything about her past. I never knew that her ex tried to put a pillow over her head and kill her. These are things, this is why it's so important to know about people's past. How do you not want to know about their past? This is what made them, invariably. You don't need to know every time they went how many times you go to the bathroom when you were 7. Let's not be dumb and condescending. But you want to know about certain life events. You want to know about some of the little trivial things to you. Because I hate when people say, you tell people something and I don't get it. I don't get how you let that affect you. You don't have to get how I let it affect me. That's not the point. Just accept the fact that it affects me. What's going on, Harold Moore? And that's what we got to do. If you know that this bothers me, then you got two choices. You can either don't do it and we can move forward, or you can keep being condescending and we can beat each other's past. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. But you have to know about these things in order to be ahead of the curve. What's going on, Harold? Come to Random Thoughts with DVP. I know that Fontella's going to be late. That's just who Fontella is. So should I be mad at Fontella and block her from the show, or should I accept the fact that she's going to be late and come here talk a little trash? Hey, Fontella at the end of the day is supporting DVP. So why would I be upset with somebody who is at least finding some time to support DVP? What's up, Xavier? And oh, well, she ain't doing this. Listen, it's a 2-hour show. Sometimes we got time for stuff, sometimes we don't. Hell, there have been times I didn't have time for the show, so how can I be mad at somebody else that I ain't paying and tell them they got to be on time? Now, I'm going to tell Fontella to be on time, but that's because I like fussing at her. Cinnamon ain't been here in a long time. That's my buddy. But she knows she going to get fussed at for coming late. But But that's how we are. She ain't gonna take it personal. She ain't gonna get an attitude, be like, "Why you cut me out like this?" Google, 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 Google. Because we know enough about each other to do that. Yeah, Fontella said she ain't paid her phone bill, so that's her excuse. We not hearing that one, Fontella. Not going for it. But this is how we gotta start addressing this. And I'm gonna say this, and I ain't gonna get deep into politics because the election did what it did. When we talk about people's past, and we all have one, we all have a past. We all have a past. If you got to look so deep, if you got to go back, I'm 55. If you go back to my teen years, you can find a lot of bad information about me. If you go back to my mid 20s, you can find even more bad information about me. If that's what you're going to use to hold against me, then the problem is clearly yours, not mine. Because my present and my future is all about trying to disseminate information and encourage meaningful dialogue through uncomfortable conversations. So whether it's 45, whether it's Roy, whether it's Biden, if you got to go all the way back to their past and you're going to try to hold that against them, understand what you're asking people to do. I ain't religious. Judge not unless you want to be judged. Something like that. It's biblical. Why are we judging people for something that happened 20 years ago? And we trying to make it be relevant today. Maturation kicks in at some point for most of us. Um, how long, Roy? Um, but that's what we got to do. All right, we are gonna take a quick break, and I will be right back. So, random thoughts with DVP. Y'all know who it is. It's the host with the most, DVP.
Get you something to drink, bruh. So, hey, we want everybody to check us out, man. Next week, we're going to be at the Uptown Comedy Cafe with a return of a show that we actually used to do down at Barley's, the Live Wire Cafe, Wednesday, November 18th. Doors will open at 8 p.m. Tickets are $10 each. You can reserve a table for 4 people for $45, or maybe $50 per, $5 extra per couple. Abyss, HBO Deaf Poet, is going to be the host, as well as we'll be featuring a young lady who's also a poet named Mother the Creator, but our featured artist will be a saxophonist named Claudius Caesar. The brother is dope. He got a real dope show that he's going to be laying out. The Livewire Cafe is an interview/performance type variety show that we're bringing back. It'll be coming back to the network next year. We are doing a live taping. We ask that people come out. You can support a black business. They actually get 2 items. It can be any 2 items on the menu. Even if you buy a bottle of water or 2 bottles of water, it doesn't matter. They just ask that you get 2 items. We will be doing some giveaways. So if you're out there, come on out, especially if you're a member of one of the shows, because we'll be specifically looking for people who are viewers and watchers of like Random Thoughts with DVP, Grumpy Old Nerds, Thoughts and Moments. So all those people will be able to come out. You might get a free drink on us. You may get a free meal with an appetizer. Who knows? You may get your money refunded that you spent to come in the door. Holla, holla, scream, scream. Come out and enjoy yourself. We will be practicing social distancing. Right now, we only have 50 tickets left, or 50 tickets available that'll be out in the space. So you and whoever you come with can be congregated, but you'll have also hand sanitizers at each table. We'll have wipes available for people, and we'll have mask if you need to purchase one when you get there with our Black College Sports Network. But again, it is the Live Wire Cafe live taping. I will also be putting where you can get your tickets in the chat area or in the comments. So please come out and support black-owned business. Come out and support our program, our show. It's a great show. Like I say, people may remember it from Barley's when we used to do it out there. They had a lot of fun with it. And we will be back. That's Wednesday, November 18th at the Uptown Comedy Corner at 397 Hateville Road. And again, the flyer and the post are in the comments. And now, back to your host with the most, the homie with the big Sith beard. That would be Random Thoughts and DVP.
All right, we back. So go check it out. Abyss is. I got a couple of. I know I got one of his CDs. Abyss is dope. And if you like spoken word and you like music, this is hey check out these events, man. Spoken word is probably one of those things that's super underrated in the black community. Um, they're very entertaining. A lot of the poets have a message that's really deep and easy to receive through their poetry. Um, check it out. Check it out. As a matter of fact, you know, when I get out of trouble, I'm gonna start pulling poets pieces and doing shows off of them because I've talked to some of them and some of them have some really decent pieces. One of our favorite, and Roy knows it, is "Snitch" by
Truth be told.
Truth Be Told. Snitch stands for silence nowadays. It's taking communities hostage. It's one of my favorite pieces, and I love to talk about it when I talk about the advancement of us. Okay, so back to the past, present, and future. We know. Let me just say this: for our future, and right now, this is about people of color. This is about people who don't have all the means. For us to succeed in the future, if we know our past and present, um, you know, I sent something to Roy because I needed to put it in my things that I believe the incoming regime should do. Am I going to say it's in the first 100 days right now? Right now, my personal belief is in the first 100 days, we need to spend a lot of time trying to corral this virus. But there are things that need to be done. There are things that need to be done once we have a pathway, or at least a plan that's followable. I don't know if that's a real word or not, but that's the word I'm gonna use. There's some things that we need to do to make sure our future is bright. One of them is making the Voters' Right Act a constitutional right and not just some bill that's got to be passed or ratified. How often does a bill have to be passed, Roy?
I think they have it set at like every 25 years. Or somewhere around there.
So every 25 years, I'm gonna let Roy explain the Voters' Right Act to you because I'm gonna give you a couple of them. Roy, come tell them about the Voters' Right Act right quick, please, sir.
Yeah.
What's up,
So,
Allison? Come
well,
on.
and that's the point. It's an act, so it has to. It does have to be re-ratified by the Congress every so often, every certain number of years, and they may have adjusted the number of years, but I know at one point it was like 25, and then I think it may have gone to 30. But that was one of the things. Actually, that's what I said. You know, when I did my whole congratulations on Saturday when they started calling it, I did my congratulations to Kamala and Joe, and I was like, now, and I did say, I said, there's three things that y'all need to do in the first 100 days of your administration, because even if they spent the majority of their time on the virus, they're still going to have time to do things, and that was number one on my list. I said, you have to make the Voting Rights Act a law. It doesn't make any sense that for 50 years or 60 years, whatever it is, that is not a law. That needs to be passed. It needs to be concrete. We shouldn't be under the impression that our right to vote can be taken away from us if we don't want it. Because believe me, somebody might, with the way the election went this year, and all of us that went out and voted, somebody might be like, "Yo, we need to get rid of this thing." So that needs to be number one. They need to do that and lock that down as soon as possible. And like one of the other two things that I said, well, I'll give you I did three of them real quick. One was that they need to do one of the things that we as black people got to remember: the writing of individual checks for all black people who are descendants of slaves is not going to happen. Not in today's society, because there's too many variables that go into that. So one of the ways that I said that they need to start doing some of that to help fix that is that the federal government needs to start the first part of the conversation as far as reparations needs to be that they need to do an endowment of $25 million to every HBCU. Now, mind you, there are only 106 of them out there right now. So that's only $2.4 billion. Hell, they found $14 billion just floating around. So that them putting $2.4 billion into that won't do anything. But that dollars will have a significant yearly impact on every HBCU, because endowments, you are able to make money off of the interest of those endowments. The other thing, the number three thing that I said they needed to do, indeed, this is where we come in some of the conversations that we've had. I said every police shooting that is that is critical. Because at first I was saying fatal, but then I was like, no, because not everybody dies. Like the brother that was in, they got shot in the back when he was trying to get away. Even though he had the warrant, he was trying to get away, but he didn't die. But I think he was paralyzed. Any of those shootings need to be immediately investigated by a federal organization. It needs to skip over. They need to start a division or a federal organization that is what their duty is. That their duty is to investigate and then make those things prosecutable from a federal level and stop letting local people judge and investigate their buddies, because that just doesn't even make any sense. So and that's one of those things that we can, if we talk about police reform, that can start the process, because of course we know it's a whole lot of other things that they need to do and get into that. So yeah, that's it. You know what I'm saying?
So part of the thing, and I'm gonna post it probably later on. I don't know. I may post it tomorrow. Part of the thing that we gotta do for our future, and we know these things hurt us based on our past and our present. We have to demand that there are more rehab centers and mental health centers in black neighborhoods and low income neighborhoods so that we can get the help. It's great to keep asking for money. It's great to keep asking for money. But money is not our issue. I can tell you this again as a cop, how many people uh, have lost property simply because they won't open mail and pay property tax. So keep asking for 40 acres and a mule. Most of us aren't farmers. Most of us ain't gonna know what to do with 40 acres. Yeah, you're gonna sell it off, yada yada yada, cute, whatever. We gotta address this mental health issue. We have to address these issues. This is for our future. For us to make it, we have got to be more accountable to each other. I hate people say, "Oh, y'all looking for a savior." We don't need a savior. This is our future. For our future, what do we do to make sure our kids make it? We bend over backwards. We will fight over hell and earth to make sure our kids have safe passage. But we know that we have mental issues. Not all bad. You got me. I got severe depression. Luckily, I got great insurance, and I'm a vet, so I get to get seen about it. But what about the people who suffer from mental things like depression, like bipolarism, like whatever? There's a ton of them. Where do they get help? Where do they get affordable help? There's nowhere in the community. I talked a couple of weeks ago about how the whole arrest system goes. How I can arrest a white guy up in Roswell, and his parents were sent into a rehab center, but Roy ain't no rehab center for Roy to go to. So we got to address those things for us to get better. That will help take us out the system. That's how a lot of people get out the system. But they got to have money to go to the rehab center. We don't have those. So our future is indicative because our past tells us these things. Our present tells us these things. These are things that we have to have in order for the survival of our race, for the survival of the minority. The Voting Rights Act needs to be made into a constitutional right, because based on what's going on right now, and knowing that we're 13 and a half, I'm just saying we 14% of the country, and based on some of the numbers I saw, that based on that 14%, and I'm just using round numbers, that roughly 10% of black people voted for Biden. So
No,
imagine.
Trump. You mean 15% voted for Trump?
No, no. I'm saying no. If black people are 14% of the country,
Mm-hmm.
the thing said 10% of blacks voted for Biden. I'm sorry. That would be 90%. 90% of that 14%.
Right. Okay. That's
They
why I'm
voted.
saying you
Yeah,
you said 10% voted for Biden. It was the other way around.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was still stuck on 14%. So think about this now. For the election to be tossed, if they did away with the what's the amendment again? The 25th amendment. I mean,
Well, the
the Voting Rights Act.
The Voting Rights Act. Yeah.
Yeah, if they did away with the Voting Rights Act, the first thing they would do is get rid of black votes. So then, guess who's the president? Simply because we don't have the official right to vote. We don't. That's one of those things that when we become talking heads, we need intelligently and articulately. We need to demand, all caps, hyphens between each letters, not respect, not money. We need to demand the right to be treated as equals. That starts with all of us having the undeniable right to vote. Period. Period. Non-negotiable. That needs to be done forthwith. Now, past, present, and future. One of the great things, and I will stick to this, about 45 being president is that he's made us learn more about politics. In the future, we have to make sure we carry this on. Let's start teaching our kids about politics. I made a post about all Republicans aren't bad Republicans. You got to watch out for 45 Republicans. But conversely, all Democrats aren't good Democrats. You got to watch out for Democrats who, the problem with the Democratic Party right now for our future is a lot of them aren't progressive. I was having a conversation about, again, past, present, and future. In the past, we had Martin, we had Malcolm. They had their theories. We followed them. We had a few changes. Present now, we look at the peaceful protests. Look at the crowd. Look at those ages. There's not a lot of older people there. These are young people. You know what they saw? What they grew up with? They grew up with a black man as the president. So they didn't grow up like a bunch of us. They didn't grow up seeing white people always running stuff. They came into their adult years with a black man as president. As teenagers, we're not counting 6, 7-year-olds because nobody's into politics at that age. But these college kids, the 20-year-olds, this is what they saw. So thank you. So Crystal, so part of what's going on is our future wants something different because they saw that a lot of old things really aren't working. They taking too long. This is what we have to accept. This we have to accept that, hey, this is what we did in the past. It got us a few steps. The present got us a few more steps. The future needs to take. They can start leaping now. We don't have to keep taking baby steps. But this is where we have to understand, and we can't keep saying, one, if we if I'm telling you to be a Democrat, I need to give you a good reason. I need to give you good candidates. I saw a post that was talking about, having a third party. Our future is not a third party. Right now, that's just not where we at. You know, maybe we'll get bigger in numbers and then we could push that issue a little bit more. But right now, we need to concentrate on getting one party and getting one party to be progressive enough to deal with our thought processes. But again, this is where we talk about these little things and what it is we want. Um, the future. Everybody says it's posted over and over again. What are the things we should ask for? Because clearly nobody speaks to us. Nobody speaks for us. You know why? Because we don't all have the same. We don't all have the same wants and requirements. Some people want to put more money in neighborhoods. Some people don't. So anytime somebody says something, the first thing we do is we jump. Oh, they don't speak for me. This is why we have such a tough time getting an agenda passed. See, the future. See how LGBTQ just came out of left field and they getting stuff done for them? Because they have an agenda. They know what they want. They're not all over the place. They're not asking for reparations. They're not asking for 40 eggs on a mule. They're asking to be acknowledged as people. That ain't what we want. We want money. And we think money gonna cure everything. And most of us have had money and it didn't cure everything. So for us to have a successful agenda, we have to have a successful agenda that's not based solely on 30 million different things. We need to agree on a few basic things. And yes, I'm going to stick with, for our future, we need mental health facilities. For our future, we need rehab centers. For our future, as Roy said and as Cinnamon said, and I talked about this before, we need citizen review boards. There needs to be a federal registry for all police. And we have to stop making everything be racial that's not racial. The Voting Rights Act is racial and it does affect us. But as the United States of America, if everything that we ask for is purely for black people, and if you understand how politics work, again, we're 14%, and we're divided. The LGBTQ community is silent. They ain't as deep, but they probably a little bit are because they cross racial boundaries. But they're united in their basic requests. See what they wanted? They wanted their marriages to be acknowledged. How hard was that? They wanted to be able to get on insurances. How hard was that? But you didn't hear them asking for a bunch of. You didn't hear them asking for land. You didn't hear them asking for their own communities. You don't hear them asking for their own banks. These are things that sometimes the government has no bearing in. We have to realize what the government does for our future to go upward so that we're not constantly fighting. And I'm telling Roy he's stupid for asking for this, and Fontello telling me I'm stupid for saying that, and Dennis telling me, this is what we got to stop. We don't all have to agree. Just better make an intelligent argument for why we believe and see who we pick up. Because at no point in your past, present, or future were you not a sheep. We're all sheep at some point. We all follow something or somebody. None of us is truly having an original thought that nobody else thinks. That's just not how it works. We have people who think like us. I hate when I see people make posts. Yeah, I know this is going to be an unpopular thought, but I'm going to post anyway. And it's like you just want people to say, oh, I agree with you. You already know they agree with you. They're your friends. You've had this conversation. There's some things that I know that when I know who's going to respond to it. Who's going to respond favorably. Um, the other things I put, I know people are going to stay away from. But I'm okay with that. It's about having uncomfortable conversations and learning. There's no question There are really no question that you shouldn't ask because you need to know how some people think. You need to know who looks like you but talks differently from you because people will say things. For us to move forward, again, this is what we have to do. We have to be a little bit better. We have to think like the board. We have to think for the collective, not what's best for me, not what's best for Roy, not what's best for Fontella. What's good for us as a people? Those are the agendas that we have to push. Um, I keep hearing about these banks. I did a little quick research. I'm trying to figure out who Asians get their money from because they come in, they build their communities, they're getting loans and grants, but which banks is giving it to them? There are not a lot of Asian banks that are doing this, but they have solidarity. I'm just going to put that out there. That's got to be part of our future where we have solidarity and we're willing to work for a common cause. If I can do something to get Roy ahead and Roy is doing something for me, then we're all winning. It ain't got to be a competition of who gets ahead the most. We just all got to move forward. I got a show. Roy got a station. Who's ahead? And remember, y'all seen the thing about equity and equality? When we start talking about the present and future, this is why we got to remember. Are me and Roy equal? No, but we have the same equity. He has what he wants. He wants his to be bigger. I have what I want. I want mine to be bigger. I want a bigger show. He wants a bigger station. I don't want a station. So if you give me a station to make us equal, you just lost me. I don't want a station. I don't know what to do with a station. I don't want to find other people to do shows. So sometimes when we ask for equality, it puts us back because we don't know what to do with some of the things they're giving us. Everybody ain't meant to run radio stations. Everybody ain't meant to host a show. I mean, sometimes I have to fuss with Roy about being on the show because he don't want to do this. He don't want to be a co-host on this show. He like talking what he like talking about. So why would I force him to do something that he don't want to do? Hey, everybody need to have their own show. Well, Roy will do a show when he feel like it, but he don't want to be a weekly host of a show right now. DVP does not want to be a radio station exec and have to do all the stuff that Roy does. Stop asking for equality when you don't know what you want to be equal to. I don't want no bakery because I don't want to be a baker. We just got to go from there. So, y'all got any questions so far? Because it's 7:25 and we good so far. I want us to work on this whole past, present, and future thing. I want us to work on understanding the people that we want in our life, understand that they have a past, understand our today is great. But if we're going to have a future, ooh, excuse me, be it as a spouse, as a friend, as a coworker, as a business partner, whatever, we got to work on these things, and we have to have uncomfortable conversations. We have to have business conversations. We have to have realistic conversations about how we're going to make these things go. We can't just always assume that the other person knows what we want. We can't always assume things. Um, we can't just get into that habit of overlooking or thinking that we're all destined to be on the same path. My friend Dennis he posted some food the other day. Oh, I want some of that. And Dennis, I know he was being funny, but he called me Mr. Picky because that's his impression. It ain't a bad thing because I am a picky eater in a good way. So if people don't know what I like, they can't share food with me because they think, oh, you don't eat this. Yes, I do. So I have to let them know what I eat so that I can be a part of that circle. Who, when they make uh, the shrimp and salmon meals, I can get some. When Senator McCain knows a little bit about stocks, I'm gonna get on the show so she can tell y'all this guy has no clue about stocks. But some of y'all have asked me about them, and I can't give you information, so I got to get somebody else to come in and say it. This is our future. We have to start talking about things that our parents didn't talk to us about, so that our kids can be more educated. Even in this age of information, where we can find out anything, when our kids ask a question, let's find out and get them there. Why most of us didn't learn money from our parents. We learned it from other things. Let's get it. This is something that we can fix, and we should fix, and do it post haste. This is our future we're discussing. We knew in the past that we didn't know a lot. We know, and people get mad with me when I post certain things. We didn't read a lot. We didn't process a lot of information. Our parents read even less, but they passed on things to us, and we love to say, "Oh, well, I made it this far." Okay, what does that mean? I just made a post not too long ago, and I said, and I want you to hear what I'm saying, not jump to conclusion. I said, and I will stick to this, that whipping, beating, spanking your children or whatever, and telling them that you love them while you're doing it, it makes them future domestic violence abusers. You can't tell somebody that you love them and you're hitting them, because they take the lesson that if I love somebody, if they do wrong, I should hit them to get them to do better. I know. Yeah, we all got whoopings, we all got beatings, and look at how we turned out. Exactly. Look at how we turned out. We think it's okay for people to beat people. It's not. It's not. Where's the conversation? Where's the diplomatic portion of it where you explain what's going on first? We are raising domestic violence abuses on the rise because a lot of us were taught unfairly that if we love somebody, you beat them when they do something wrong to make them do better. It is permeating our world. This is our future right now. Domestic violence has gone up during the pandemic because people are frustrated. They don't know how to talk. Oh, she ain't doing this to me, so I'm gonna bust in the head so she'll do right. Oh, he ain't doing this. Um I saw a lady slap a guy. I'm sorry. I heard some people watch the woman in a car slap a guy. And what I heard next bothered me more than anything else. I asked, what did y'all do? They're like, oh, everybody was waiting to see what the guy was going to do, because if he would have hit it, he would have been dead wrong. So hold on. She can slap him, but everybody was going to jump him if he'd have slapped her back. Don't get me wrong. I ain't preaching violence. But why can she slap him and nobody's going to interfere? But if he slap her, everybody ready to jump in. See, I heard all the different excuses. But what did we just teach people? Now we just told them that women can hit and guys can't. We are promoting unconsciously violence, and we accept it. This has got to stop for our future. I just told y'all about something that happened up in Clayton County where the baby daddy shot the baby mama boyfriend. Now, the two men don't have a relationship, but the whole thing is going to fall under domestic violence because this is what we have taught people. You beat people, you inflict violence in the name of love. How wrong is that? How wrong is that? This cannot continue for us to move upward and outward. We have to realize, um, I think they took it down. I don't see it no more. The kid that we saw that got the beating in school, people were just some people were trying to justify that. How do we justify beatings in the name of love? What our parents did to us was a different situation, lack of knowledge, but it still had a long term effect on us because some of us still think it's normal. A few of us know that it's not normal. Roy over there taking deep breaths and like he got something he want to say. So I'm gonna let him say something right quick. Go ahead, sir. Let me get a
So
drink.
I actually agree with you in the sense
Oh, let me
of
get two drinks.
I actually agree with you in the sense of saying I'm beating you because I'm loving you. That I agree with you 100%. When I spanked my children, it was never a situation where I'm like, well, I'm getting this beating because I love you and I'm not. No. When they were getting spanked or and like I ain't never really beat but I did spank my kids. I used corporal punishment, so to speak. For me, in that moment, it was this is your discipline. This is something that you're getting as a result of a negative action that you took, that you were either told not to do and you decided to do it anyway, or that you did and in some way it injured or inflicted someone else. So I did have the conversation and talk to them, but it was never a situation where I said that, oh, I'm beating you because I love you. Yeah, because that's craziness. Like you said, that creates an incorrect thought process of what this discipline is. And so
Right.
now, because I'm sorry, I think even things like popping of the hands, because even at a young age, that trains a child in some of that stuff in their own protection, certain things that you don't want them to do. Why? Because children are what? Naturally inquisitive. You can tell a baby who's just learning how to crawl, no, don't touch that socket. No, don't, even if you've gotten it childproof. No, don't touch that socket. First off, they really don't understand you. What are they gonna keep doing? They gonna keep going and try to touch that socket until you walk over there and you let them put their hand up there a couple of times. They put their hand up there the first time, boom, and I thumped it. She sat there and she looked at me. She reached back up there again. What did I do? Boom, thumped the hand again and said no. She reached back up again. Boom, thumped. Now that's the third time she said that she getting all that, but she knew not to touch that anymore.
Right.
So yeah, but I think if you're going to use the discipline, and there is a difference between spanking and child abuse.
Right.
There is a distinct difference. So
And my whole point is about the commentary. If you're
right,
gonna whoop your child, whoop your child. Do not tell them that you're whooping them because you love them.
right.
You're creating a weird pattern in their mind. You're telling them that love equates to hurt.
Well, like you said, you're
That
creating a
cannot be.
psychopath.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if you're gonna whoop them because they bad, when you're whooping them, let them know, hey, this is because you're bad. This because you kept disobeying me.
right,
But I love you. No, tell them you love them later after they get past whooping, and ask them, do you understand why Daddy had to whoop you? Now,
right,
I love you, and I don't want to have to keep doing this because that is a sign, and you let them know how it affects you, which is why you're doing it. And and that's why I told people listen to the whole thing because I'm not ever gonna be against corporal punishment ever. But you can't put the corporal punishment with that message because then you're saying gangbangers love people. You're saying all abusive people are doing. You cannot send that conflicting message in their. This is when they're learning. This is when they're putting pieces together. This is when they know if I say I love you, Daddy smiles. This is when they know, hey, that's my little friend. Daddy said I should hit my friends, and I love little Billy, so I'm gonna just punch him because that's what Daddy does. And when Billy go crying, it's like, why you crying, Billy? I love you. This is what my dad does to me. And then we frown at it, but this is something that we've been perpetuating for years.
Right.
And for us, this has been our past. This has been our present. We cannot continue this into the future. This is one of my real bad points because I hear it too often. Even today, oh, I whoop him because I love. No, you don't whoop because you love. That is insane. You don't whoop your husband. When he messes up, what do you do? What do you do to your spouse when they mess up? You don't spank them. You don't give them corporal punishment. So don't tell your children that because they grow up thinking that it is normal. And whenever I see people saying, "Oh, I don't see nothing wrong with that beating," I'm gonna tell you this, and I don't care how you feel. This ain't the fight you want. Anytime you feel the need to discipline your child, and we're gonna say it ain't even corporal punishment. If you feel the need to discipline your child and put it on social media, you are extra effing guilty, and you're a shitty parent. Why are you shaming them? That's just as bad. That's just you. Are you shaming them out of love? Put your sex tape. Don't put your sex tape on there because we got to stop doing stupid stuff and claim. Oh yeah, I'm gonna show him what's right. How through physical violence, and then you wonder why they do it back. Why are kids so violent? Because it's not that bad. It's what everybody does, huh? Who is everybody, and when did it become acceptable? This is what we have to do. Like I say, most of us, I will say at some point, we got a whooping, we got a spanking, we got a beat. Most of us have been through them little three phases. And sure, most of us came out partially okay. Some of us turned into good people, but we still suffer that mental scar where we think it's okay. See, that's a form of post-traumatic stress disorder where you think it's okay to beat somebody because you survived it. And and y'all ever notice that when people start talking about whooping, spanking, beating, you start seeing people trying to top each other. Oh, well, my mama used to beat me with a extension cord. Well, my mama used whole branches. Well, my mama used a frying pan. And then they try to top each other with the beatings that they got. And then they try to tell how they turned out good from it. But guess what? They're holding on to that past. They're holding on deep to it because they remember these. Why do you? Right, again, I'm going to pick on you. Do you remember where you were when you learned the ABC song?
Yeah, probably elementary school.
So you said probably because it wasn't a traumatic experience.
Right.
But people who've been hit with frying pans and extension cords, they remember details. They remember this because it left a scar. Now we can remember songs forever because that's just how we learn. But we don't remember the details of how we learn that song. But when you got that beaten, people don't say, "Oh, I got beat with an extension cord around 6 or 7." They can tell you right before my 5th birthday, this is what happened because it left a lasting image / scar that they never got over. And it was never addressed. The past is still in their present. And when they get kids, because you'll see a lot of people now who won't whoop, spank, or do any of that to kids because of the scar that it left. They remember that they can't unremember the beatings that they got they were called spankings, and they weren't. They remember. So they pledge never to hit their kids. Never. Simply because of that scar. We cannot keep saying that that's normal. And that's why I say, and again, I'm going to stick to what I'm saying. You can't whoop, beat, spank, whatever it is, you form a corporal punishment and tie it into love. Take the love out. If you hell, some of y'all know y'all got badass kids, you gotta do what you gotta do. Quit telling them, equating it to love though. Some kids only learn through physical punishment. Most of us learn, as Roy just his example was great. The only better example is most of our dumbasses still touch that hot stove. What made us stop touching that hot stove? Because the shit burnt us. Our parents didn't have to hit us for touching that stove. They hit us for reaching a couple of times, but we thought we knew better. Once we touched that stove and it burnt us, we all stopped because pain is a great motivator. You just cannot tie it to love. Now, so when they burn their hand, and you can say, "See, baby, this is why I kept trying to get you not to do it." This is why daddy pops you, because daddy don't want you to hurt yourself, because those pops, effective as they are, they're not the same. Because, and I hate to use this analogy, but I don't care. When you get a real dog, I had Rottweilers. Once your Rottweiler, and people do this for elephants, once your Rottweiler understands what the popping means, you don't have to hit them hard no more. They don't want to be popped, period. You know how animal trainers keep elephants in line? They chain the elephant at a young age. The elephant knows it can't pull away from the chain. As the elephant gets older, the elephant still believes it can't pull away from that chain, because there's no chain that's going to stop an elephant when they want to go. But you train them to believe that it can't. So we have to be careful with this, because this is our future. We don't want a future of people beating each other all in the name of love. We don't want a future of people beating kids, lovers, strangers, whoever, calling it love, because that was their past. That's our present that we haven't gotten rid of. I can. My mom only whooped me one time, and it wasn't even a bad one, but I remember it because it's the only whooping I ever got. It wasn't traumatizing, but she never told me she whooped me because she loved me. It made me change some of the things I was doing, but I can't tell you how old I was. I just remember I got whooped one time, and I did something bad another time, and she called one of her men friend to whoop me. And I told her, well, the next time you get somebody to whoop me, I'm running away from home. We never had a problem after that, because he beat me. And I understood why she did it, because in her mind, she wasn't strong enough to hurt me anymore. Because most of us fellas, we know that women don't hit you hard enough. We cry because we know that's what you want us to do. But for you to get somebody to do this who don't know me or none of that to prove a point, I will leave. That was our watershed moment. After that, we didn't have no more problems. If there's a problem, Mom, you tell me what it is, and we'll go from there. But don't get somebody to hit me to tell me, whatever it is, because whatever he told me, the message got lost in translation. Because all I was thinking about was getting away from him and stabbing him. So, Mom, you don't want to create a psychopath. But that was the lesson I got from that beating. But yeah, I spanked my kid. Hell, my boys would tell you I beat them. I didn't call it love during or afterwards, but they tried, and I had to let them know where we stood. But I didn't tell them it was love, and I beat them when they were 16. So don't get it twisted. Um, but these are the things that we have to be considerate of when we're dealing with our future, fellas, ladies. We're in the 21st century. So whoever you're in a relationship, get to know a little bit more about their past if you want them to be a part of your future. So y'all can work on the triggers. Y'all can work on any unresolved issues. Learn about their past. Learn about their past lovers. Some of this is great information. Don't make them feel like they can't tell you something. This is supposed to be your best friend. If they ain't your best friend, which I'm firmly still not a believer in, they should be a great friend. I just don't believe you can make a best friend in a year or two while you're dating. You're too conflicted unless y'all robbing banks together. Most of the time with your best friends, y'all got experiences together that made y'all best friends. And sex wasn't that experience. Um, but if you're gonna marry a true friend, don't y'all know stuff about each other? Shouldn't y'all know? Shouldn't y'all have shared it? Shouldn't you know some of the things that they won't tell anybody? Don't you want to be that person? I don't want Trina to feel like she got to call somebody to tell her something because I'm going to be judgmental of what she tell me. Truth be told, bro, who's your best friend? Do you have a best friend, Roy?
Yep, my homie Brian. Well, yeah, recent.
So
Mhm.
don't Brian know some semi shameful things about you, and you know some semi shameful things about him, and y'all done judged each other? Cause that's what best friends do. We tell you, man, you ain't shit, and we laugh about it and keep moving. Don't you want that with your partner? Don't you want to be able to enjoy those times so that you can reflect and reminisce at home in the bed while you talking trash? I tell people all the time, one of the things that me and Trina do is one of our date night things is we sit in the tub drinking adult drinks and we just go over shit. It's a truth time. You can say whatever you want to if you ain't liking something. Hell, we've talked about exes. We've talked about great dates we went on with other people. Because this is how we get to learn each other. We can laugh and smile about it. She can say a people's name. And hell, some of them I remember, I try to give them experience that I remember so I know who she talking about. Because she should be, if she wants to think about an ex, why would I be mad about that? Roy cannot sit here and tell me and think I'm gonna believe that he might not think about getting back with his ex-wife, but he can't tell me he ain't never thought about it, about her, about the relationship, not about getting back with her. But you can't, because he got kids, and I'm sure they had great time. So to reminisce about something don't mean you want to go back to it. Hell, I think a lot about the second grade. I do not want to be a second grader, but I had great fun in the second grade. I had great fun in the fifth grade. I don't want to go back there. But when I want to talk about the crazy stuff I did as a fifth grader, as an eighth grader, as a teenager, I want to be able to tell Trina. When I talk about some of the wild, rambunctious stuff that I did, I want to be able to talk to Trina. We ain't got to be best friends, but we got to be good friends. I mean, hell, me and Rock talk about stuff. I call him a white lighter. I'm sure a couple of things I told him, he probably called me a hoe. But hey, we're friendly enough that we can do that. Because is he going to judge me? Of course. But is his judgment of me going to change who he knows that I am today? What my past said. Yeah, I'm sure 20, 30 years ago, Roy wouldn't have been somebody who would have ever wanted to be around my circle. I was a womanizer extraordinaire. Never disrespectful, but I was a womanizer. It was my past. And once a cheater, always a cheater. Says who? Maybe I was cheating with somebody I should have never been in the relationship with. But because society said I need to be in a relationship, I did. So, is that true? So understand, my past is who I was. My present is who I am. My future is who I'm going to be. You look at some of our, and we did this last week, and I asked Roy, Malcolm X, look at who he was. Should we continue to judge him for who he was as Detroit Red, I think was his nickname? Should we continually judge Detroit Red? Look at the difference and the change that who he was and where he started and where he ended. Look at it. Look at the difference for those y'all who read. Don't watch the movie. Read the book. Who he was when he first went to Islam versus who he turned out to be. Not the same people. And if you really want to get deep into this, for those of y'all that like to read, understand how if you read history, look at the position that him and Martin had and how they flopped. Most people don't realize that. Martin became increasingly more wanting to do violence. Malcolm wanted to be more of a negotiator, but we continue to repeat what people have told us because we don't read the book. We don't read. We like for people to tell us stuff and we run with that, which makes us bad debaters and arguer of facts. Because once somebody can point us something, oh, I ain't see that, because you didn't want to. Luckily, the past few weeks, I've been having great debates with people who want to be educated. They'll give me a thought, and we'll research it. I can tell them why they're wrong, or why the thought is incomplete, or they can send stuff in, they taught me stuff. Let's do that. Be more open to that thought process. Because there are things Roy can tell me, and guess what? I'm going to take Roy at face value on a lot of them. I'm not going to research because I trust Roy is going to give me good information. Because Roy has said before, let me check. So you know what? I wait for Roy to check. Because it's just as easy for me to check. But if it's something that Roy's more passionate about, guess what Roy's going to do? Roy's going to do a better job of checking than I will. Because I'm going to do it. I'm going to do what some of y'all do. I'm going to question quick snippets. I ain't going to read the article. Just like when we talked about the crime bill, everybody talk about it, but very few people have read it. So if you ain't read it, you can't talk intelligently on it. The future is us being better educated, us being more knowledgeable, so that we're going to engage in a conversation. We can engage into the conversation intelligently and knowingly. See, this is it. And that's all you got to do. When they start having conversations about radio stations, guess what DVP going to do? DVP is going to unair there because he is not interested. I listen to what Roy say because Roy my boy, but I can't offer him no valid information Because I don't know about running a radio station and it's not my passion. When I talk about some of the things I talk about, as much as Roy want to stay in the background, sometimes he'd be like, "Shit, let me get something to say," because he understands and he feels my passion. And he wants to interject, but he'll and that's what we do. But there's something that clearly I'm either more knowledgeable about or more passionate about, and I did a little bit more research. So there's no need to sit back and us argue and call each other's name and mess up our future because now we're trying to see who's the smartest man in the house, and that should never be the issue. The issue would be about us pushing forward and getting better. Because originally the Voting Rights Act was not on my list of it wasn't on my agenda. You know why? Because it was just something I didn't think about. But before I got ready to post, I shot Roy a message. Tell me more about it so I could look it up. Because John Lewis done introduced some stuff, but that's one of the things that we need to get done. But had Roy not mentioned it, it would have never came to mind. People reach out to me and ask me about review boards, and I tell them how the police boards work because it's something that they initially knew nothing about. And some people want to start one, they want to be on one. This is what we have to do: have an intelligent exchange of information. And as we teach, we all got tool belts. Some tools you get on your belt you'll never use, but they're there just for that one time. But keep the stuff that you're gonna need. Keep those resources so that your tomorrow can be a whole lot better than your today and much better than your yesterday. And that's what we gotta be with this, so that we don't keep getting stuck in the same rut. Roy said something super important, and it agitates me when I hear people say it. When people keep demanding reparations, and the dumb statement behind it is, and I'm just gonna paraphrase: you don't want to vote for Joe because he ain't talking reparations. Well, Trump wasn't either. Nobody's realistically speaking reparations because it ain't gonna happen. If it happens, it's gonna be a long time from now because to get it, you're gonna have to prove a lot of stuff. Y'all already don't want to do the DNA stuff because y'all think they're gonna put your DNA at a crime scene, which is insane. You're not that important. But some of those inhibitions you got gonna keep you from that anyway.
Yo, D.
Yes, sir.
Yo, real quick. So, like, this is our Black College Sports Network face mask that we got for the network. And we sell them at like one for $7, two for 10, or two or more for $5 each. Cinnamon just won her one of these for being the first Random Thoughts with DVP person to buy a ticket to next week's event. So Cinnamon will give you one of these for free next week when you get to the spot. You get you a mask. Holla, holla, scream, scream. Thank you, darling. I might go ahead and get your first drink on me. So, and I'm not talking about water neither.
What? Cinnamon just won something?
Yes, sir.
Cinnamon make sure I get some stock tips. All right, but see, hey, there you go. The first free giveaway. I ain't even know nothing about it. That should have been. I think he stole my thunder. I'm gonna file a grievance with my union. But that's what we're about. So it's 7:53. I'm gonna get a couple of parting statements in, but I wanna give Roy his time to do what he does, even though he probably wasn't ready. He should know I was gonna do it. My JBN is unapologetically black network. DVP is unapologetically black, and I never forget that. For those of y'all who think something else, and I had to have this discussion with a couple of people, listen, I do believe in systemic racism. I do believe in systematic racism. I also believe that if you know those exist, how do you keep falling trapped to them? At some point, you have to rise up and be better. You can't keep telling me the hole is right here and I'm keep walking to the hole thinking it's going to close for me. If you keep doing that, then you're looking for excuses. I'm not looking for excuses. I'm looking for solutions. I'm willing to have uncomfortable conversations. I'm willing to challenge the system. I'm willing to challenge you. Stop waiting for excuses. I grew up in a single parent home, so I got a built-in excuses of why I ain't gotta be shit because somebody told me I could use that for an excuse. I suffer from depression. I got another excuse for why I can be less than because somebody's giving me an excuse for why I can be not shit. If I know these things exist and I'm this grown ass man, why ain't I find a solution so that it doesn't hold me back? Why not find a solution? See, if I know the legal system is against me, you know what you got to do first? Stop doing illegal shit to test it. Duh. No. No. Before I get wrong, I'm gonna tell you this now. I was a cop. I got suspended quite a bit, but I picked my suspensions. I did things that I know that would keep me suspended for less than 5 days. Those are the only systems I was challenging. Anything that could get me fired, I was not playing with. I didn't want to test that game. Understand, know the system. I wanted to get better at it, so I didn't do things that would get me kicked out of the system. But Roy, I'm gonna let Roy tell y'all about the network, how to do advertising. If you want to do your own show, or if you want me to do a commercial, I'm gonna let Roy give y'all that. Then we're gonna close out. Son, don't be going nowhere. You still in trouble? Do your thing, Roy.
All right, everybody. So appreciate y'all tuning in again to Random Thoughts with DVP. One of the first shows that we actually did when we got to Atlanta, it was one of the first that was created for the network here. We had a few already in place, but like you said, we're unapologetically a black network, and we're about to get extremely aggressive going into the new year with a lot of things. And I was actually having a conversation with somebody today and telling them that we want anybody who is of African descent that has some type of content that they want to get out, that if you're interested in getting in, we want you to come on. We want to be your home. As a network, our job is to promote you guys as a network, as shows and stuff. And we grow organically. So, we're not out here to try to just push ourselves. First off, I've been around for 22 years. A lot of people know who we are. A lot of people know what our mission is, and a lot of people have been following us and doing different things. So we're not concerned about our growth because we have a logistical plan that is set out and it's set in stages. So, as long as we continue to push our people, we're able to do that. Starting in the spring, we will be doing basketball season. We just found out that the majority of the schools that we were covering are looking like they're going to be opting out of playing football in the spring. So, we won't be getting back to a lot of stuff until with football until August or whatever. But even during basketball season, we're going to have opportunities because several of the schools that we're looking at, they're not going to have people in the stands. So our live broadcasts are going to be the only way that people will be able to see the games. And so, again, you're talking about on a weekly basis, we'll be in front of thousands of new people each week that can put you, who are people who are interested in black products, black services, and all that kind of stuff. So, join us. You can still get an advertising package for an entire year that only costs $480. That's $480 for an entire year. You'll get over 100 commercials a month, and you'll have other opportunities. We also have something that if you're a writer or an author and you have books that you want to do, we've got a deal that we're running for authors. It's like $150 for a whole year, but you get very specific things targeted towards writers and authors. Last thing I would like to say is that, hey, one of the things that you definitely can do for us is you can download our app. It is free. We're in the Apple App Store and in the Google Play Store. It's actually MyJBN-MyBCSN, but if you type it up, you'll see our blue logo pop up. Download it. When you do download it, make sure, I believe DVP is number 3 on the list of what show brings you to the network so that we can make sure he gets his credit. I think he's rolling around the 3rd spot right about now. But he's in the top 3. Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, look, the thoughts and moments, and the Inside HBCU Sports Lab are not playing around. So you can get in and get it. Like I said, we'll be doing a lot of free giveaways. We're going to be doing a lot of promotional stuff with black businesses that'll give you an opportunity to get points for supporting black-owned businesses, and those points you'll be able to redeem for things like concerts, events. Like I said, the thing that we're doing next week with the Livewire Cafe will actually turn into, as we move into the new year, it's going to be a network show, so this will actually be a live taping. But that's something that we'll be doing at least twice a month that we're going to be putting out. We're getting ready to start back. We've got our location and stuff squared away. We're going to be getting ready to start back doing our mystery dinner theaters, some different shows. We're going to be doing a lot of different things, man, that we as a culture normally aren't used to, but ways that you'll be able to come out, enjoy yourself, meet new people, get engaged. DVP, I'm already starting to work on even the game shows that we were talking about. We're going to do some of those game show nights, especially with the relationships and getting people out and involved in the relationships with dinner nights. So we're talking about date nights, and not just regular date nights, but we're gonna do them a lot of it is going to be done to build and strengthen our relationships. So we'll have a couples date night for married people where we'll be able to have a certain set of games. Then we'll have a date night with a game show for people who are dating and, who maybe want to get married and do some different things. But even those are going to be with licensed and credentialed, like therapists, people who show you how to deal with conflict resolution. We got a lot of stuff. Our goal is to change the world, and we want to do that by changing the way that we as black people see ourselves and the way that we interact with each other. So, hey, come on out, get involved with us. Like I said, the easiest thing to do is get our app, then tell two friends to download the app. Again, it's free. You can listen to all our radio stations. You can see these shows live. You can go back and see the replays. We got an urban music 24-hour station. We got a gospel music 24-hour station if that's your thing. And we got a talk radio station. It's 24 hours a day. You can always go listen to something. So that's it for me. Back to my man.
All right, so I'm going to have to get this link because I got to get my numbers up. I don't like being third. I don't like being third. I don't even like being second. I don't even like being 1A. I'm just saying. So, fam, I'm going to need y'all to flood this and get your friends. I'm going to get all the stuff from with the right one with the dash so we can get there because I need for y'all to download it.
As long as you type in JBN, you'll see it. It'll come up with the blue logo, the blue J. So you'll see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need for them to make sure they get my show. I know y'all like talking to me here. I need my credit on my JBN. I don't like being third. That no. Third is unacceptable. I need therapy just because he just told me I was third. I need a drink for real. But I appreciate y'all for spending time with me. For those y'all ain't seen in a minute, Cinnamon. Those y'all who can't come on time, Fontella, Crystal, stop being mean to Darren. Happy belated birthday, daughter. Thank everybody who came and spent some time with me. As always, I want to thank my super producer for making all this possible and making me do this show. He got me started. I will give him his credit. By force. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. But I will see you guys in 6 days, 22 hours, some change. Until then, y'all know what it is. Peace, popcorn, and chicken grease. And I'm out.
Q Time is a classic Atlanta soul food restaurant located in the historic West End. Q Time Soul Food is a family business started by Fred and Christine Crenshaw. Come on in, relax, and sink your chops into our tantalizing, mouth-watering, distinctive soul food with a twist, the Q Time way. 1120 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, or call your order in at 404-758-2881. Do you miss your mama's cooking?